Hey guys, we're going to start now with Chapter 6, Polygons and Quadrilaterals. Yay, our last chapter. It asks us to describe the properties of a parallelogram. So if you remember, there was 5 properties. The first one is that the opposite sides are congruent. That means they're equal to each other, opposite sides. The opposite sides are also parallel. And 3, opposite angles. Angles are congruent. The fourth one, the diagonals bisect each other. And the last one, because there's 5 for a parallelogram, is the consecutive angles. Angles are supplementary. Meaning they add to 180 degrees. All right, properties of a rectangle. The first thing is that it has all the properties of a parallelogram. So all of these 5 up here, it has all of those, all the properties of a parallelogram. The second is that the diagonals are congruent. Diagonals are congruent. And the third is that all angles are right angles, meaning they're 90 degrees. So that is the properties of a rectangle. Let me zoom in a little, it looks a little blurry. And a parallelogram. Now the properties of a rhombus. Okay, so again, it has all the properties of a parallelogram. So all the properties of a parallelogram. The 5 we talked about up here. And then it has a few of its own. All the sides are congruent. And the diagonals are perpendicular. You guys forget this one a lot, so don't forget it. Diagonals are perpendicular. The fourth one is that the diagonals bisect opposite angles, meaning it cuts them in half. Opposite angles. So that is the properties of a rhombus. Describe the properties of a square. Well, it has all the properties of a parallelogram, a rectangle, and a rhombus. So it has everything that these 3 have. And that is the properties of a parallelogram, rectangle, rhombus, and square. The next one is describe the properties of an isosceles trapezoid. All right, so here we go. One pair of parallel sides. And we would call those the bases. It has 2 congruent base angles. It has congruent legs. It has congruent diagonals. Lots of congruent stuff going on here. And its opposite angles are supplementary. Opposite angles are supplementary. And then the median is parallel to both bases and equals base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2, and that will give you your median. All right, so those are some of our properties that we need to talk about and that you guys need to remember, or write them on your card. All right, moving on to number 61. Let's get there. Here we are. 61. Arc is a parallelogram. Okay, so we need to remember those 5 things that we talked about. Angle A is 99 degrees. Solve for the measure of R, K, and B. Well, we know that opposite angles are congruent, so that means the angle K is 99. All right, and that these consecutive angles are supplementary. So 99 plus the measure of angle R has to equal 180. I would set this up in an equation and subtract 99 from 180, and the measure of angle R would equal 81. So the measure of angle R equals 81. 81 degrees. Well, opposite angles are congruent, so B is also 81 degrees. And there you have it. The angle measures for parallelogram bark. Okay, looking at number 62, again, bark is a parallelogram. And this time they're giving me side lengths. Right, this question you guys struggled with on your quiz, so make sure you're paying attention. AB is x plus 24. AR is 4x plus 15. RK is 3y minus 11. And KB is y plus 40. All right, well, it's the opposite sides that are equal to each other. So I'm going to do 4x plus 15 equals y plus 40. That will be one of them. And then the other one, I would do x plus 24 equals 3y minus 11. All right, I'm going to just choose to isolate my y. It just seems kind of straightforward. And get y by itself. So I will have 4x minus 25 equals y. All right, y has a value now. I'm going to look over here at this equation, and here is a y. So I'm going to take that and plug it in over here. I will have x plus 24 equals 3 times y, and remember, we already know what y is, 4x minus 25 minus 11. This is called substitution, where I'm taking whatever y is and plugging it in. I need to distribute, so I'll have x plus 24 equals 12x minus 75 minus 11. I'll do some combining of like terms and have x plus 24 equals 12x minus 86. Now I want to get my x's on one side, so I'm going to subtract x and end up with 24 equals 11x minus 86. I'll add 86 and add 86 and get 110 equals 11x. Now I need to divide by 11 and divide by 11, and x equals 10. Okay, now that I know what x equals, I'm going to plug it in over here and get my y. So I'm going to do y, and that's going to be 4 times 10 minus 25. 40 minus 25. Y equals 15. Okay, and then we're going to move down to 63 here. All right, bark is a parallelogram. This one on your review game that you did today was hard for you. The measure of RKG, this angle right here, is 49 degrees. All right, the measure of AGR is 82 degrees. All right, what I'm going to look at is this right here. This angle and this angle are a linear pair. So I'm going to do 180, a line, minus 82. And that's going to give me 98 degrees, which is the measure of RGK. So right here, I now know that this is 98 degrees, RGK, 98 degrees. Well, if I look here, I can see that I actually have a triangle. So for the measure of angle ABG, I'm going to do 180 minus 98 minus 49 equals ABG. And once we do that, we would get 33 degrees. So the measure of angle ABG is 33 degrees. Moving along, we have rect. Rect is a rectangle. And we're going to look at RA, and that is x plus 3. And we're going to look at ET, the other whole long diagonal, the entire diagonal, and that is 4x minus 44. Well, if you remember about a rectangle, the diagonals are equal. So this is only half of the diagonal, right, because they're also bisected, which means I'm going to need to take this and multiply it by 2, x plus 3, times 2, to get the whole segment, and then I can set it equal to this segment, TE, or ET, 4x minus 44. All right, I have to distribute, so I end up with 2x plus 6 equals 4x minus 44. I want to start combining like terms. I'll end up with a negative 2x equals a negative 50. Divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2, x equals 25. So 25 for x. The next question was solved for RC. Well, RC is the entire segment, which, because it's a rectangle, RC and ET are the same. So to get RC, I'm going to just plug it into the equation for ET, which is 4 times x, 25, minus 44. So 100 minus 44 equals 56. RC equals 56. And that's number 64. We're going to come back to 65 in the next video because I just don't think we have the time for it in this one. So stay tuned for 65.